Welcome back to the third episode of my series where I show all the installations that we created over 7 days for the Sheffield HQ office for Evolution Power Tools. So for this one, we made an LED box frame with the brand new slogan, Build What Matters. I knew I wanted something using LED. I knew I wanted to do something that was bright and would show off their brand new slogan, Build What Matters. Originally, the idea was that the whole thing would be made out of OSB, but in the end, because we bought plywood and OSB, I actually decided to have the OSB at the back and the plywood, which is more plain as a texture, at the front. So the concept was that there'd be a box frame with a gap between. That's where the LED would go around, but the front panel would have the slogan Build What Matters cut out of it so that the light and the OSB shines through. Now, there were a few things I had to think about with this one. The first and the biggest was that in the slogan Build What Matters, you have a few counters. A counter is the sort of circle in an O or the two circles in a capital B. I could have used a stencil font, which would have allowed me to keep the counters without them falling away. The issue with this is A, the stencil font is overused, it's a little bit tacky, and I didn't really think it kind of gave the look I wanted. But that's not their font. They've got a brand new font that they're just rolling out with their branding, and they've spent so much time trying to get it right. I felt like I had to use their brand new font. So I had to think of a way to basically suspend these counters onto the frame without being able to see what was suspending them. I don't think I have any footage to show what this looked like, not too sure why, maybe my camera stopped working. But what we ended up doing is using a little bit of UPVC pipe cut at the exact right depth. What we were able to do is screw in from the back and just catch the counter with the end of the screw, and the counter could only go as far as the UPVC pipe would allow. So that dealt with the counter issue. I then went to cut out each of these letters using my jigsaw. Now, I have used a jigsaw for lots of projects and I feel pretty comfortable using one. However, as I started using the jigsaw, I realized that it was going to take me a very, very long time to cut out the whole slogan. And at this point, we were already running out of time. So we ended up doing it through a CNC machine, which, oh my goodness, was so much easier than cutting it by hand. I know not everyone has access to a CNC machine, so that is why originally it was going to be done through a jigsaw. But just due to time, this is the option we went with. The only issue with going with a CNC machine is that the CNC machine has a bed, and you cannot put a piece that's bigger than the bed in. And my original plan was this was going to be a pretty big sign. So we maxed out how big the piece we could put in is. We got that cut out saying Build What Matters. And we used the same technique that I'd used to suspend the counters to suspend this piece. I then also made a frame to go around this piece to make it as big as I wanted. So when it came to putting it all together, I had to think what the best order of doing everything was. I knew that the piece that we had cut with the CNC machine that said Build What Matters and the counters would be the last thing we did because they're very detail orientated. But I still had the back, which was OSB, the front, which was just the frame that went perfectly around the piece that the CNC machine could fit, and the box frame that we used CLS timber to make. For the frame, we cut routed pieces out of it so that the front and the back could easily just slot in. In the end, I decided to add the frame around the edge to the front first. Got that all stuck down really, really nicely and secure. I then flipped it over, and that's when I started to be able to put the LED strip lighting in. I bought just enough LED lighting to go around the whole piece with a tiny bit that I needed to cut off at the end. The LED strip lighting had adhesive backing, so we peeled it off and then stuck it on without having to use any extra glue. We made a small little dent into the frame so that the wire could easily just fall through without it making a gap. I obviously had to plug it in and make sure it was working. It would just be my luck to put it all together, close it off, send it off to Sheffield and find that it wasn't working. Luckily it was, so now it was time to put the back on. This was relatively straightforward. We just laid the back on top of the frame that was already upside down, and then we screwed in around the corners and in the center. Then finally it was time to put the final piece on. We already knew how we were going to suspend it, so we got on with that, and we got to the final result. The whole thing can be undone if needed, but I can imagine it's going to probably stay on that wall for a while. The other thing to mention is that this thing got very, very heavy, way heavier than it needed to be, and that was due to using CLS timber for the framing. I was just a little bit lazy. I wanted something thick and bulky, and I got thick and bulky, but actually using maybe a hardwood or even using plywood again would probably have saved a lot of the weight. But either way, we managed to get it up on the wall without too much hassle, even though I was very worried it was gonna fall down. This went in one of the offices. Now, one thing I didn't really think about is that with office lighting, it's very, very light. It's very functional. So even when you've got the LED light on, you can't really see it because it's not dark. We did turn off the lights and it did look amazing, but obviously there's not many situations where the LED light would be on and the main lights would be off. Regardless of all that, this is how it turned out. I love how it looks. It's definitely a standout piece, but if I were to make it again, I think I'd make it a little less bulky, and I'd either use more LEDs or have more space for the light to shine out of it, if that makes any sense. I'd love to know what you think, and so far out of the 4 projects, which one has been your favorite? Would you have done anything differently? Would you have a go at making something like this? Let me know in the comments below, but keep following for the final video where I make this modular wall shelf for all of Evolution's milestones and accomplishments. Can't wait to see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.